tonight we're going to see some of the wide and varied railway stories that made it onto the silver screen. Back in 1926, the newsreels were in their infancy. Just 30 years after the invention of the motion picture, this silent record of the Corris Railway in mid-Wales was more like a documentary. Superb replica of Puffing Billy in steam, filmed for Germany's railway centenary in 1935. The original engine was built as far back as 1813 for the Wylam Colliery in Northumberland, and today, as part of the National Collection, is the oldest surviving steam locomotive in the world. A distinctive feature of the 2-foot 6 gauge Leek and Manifold Valley Light Railway was the first ever use of a narrow gauge transporter to carry standard gauge wagons.
A story of speed on the railway. The Silver Jubilee train, latest streamline wonder of the LNER, leaves King's Cross on her record-making trial run. Cutting the film to help you get the sense of speed, we take you into the air in a plane itself travelling at over 100 miles an hour.
Fortunately, rare on British railways are fatal accidents, and the disaster at Swanley, which involved 4 deaths, is a distressing exception. A train from Margate returning via Ashford to London ran off the main track into a siding and crashed into an empty coach in front of an electrical transformer.
The great thaw was really a frost. At any rate, more snow and freezing weather followed immediately. Scenes in the Midlands tell their own story of what's been happening on the roads of Britain. Farther north, the heavy snowfalls interfered with rail transport. Here's one method, perhaps a trifle primitive, of clearing the line.
The main recipient of all this tender loving care was 460 Jubilee Victoria.
It was cheerful news indeed for travellers when British Railways announced their new pubs on wheels. The authentic atmosphere has been carefully studied and preserved. Of course, there's nothing new about drinking on trains, but in these surroundings it is a bit different, rather more matey perhaps. At the moment, these travelling locals are to be used in the southern and eastern regions.
Although suburban electric railways had been around since the turn of the century, the first diesels began to appear in the 1930s, and Movietone was there. In December 1932, the Germans, who were to become our principal rail speed competitors throughout the 1930s, took the world by storm with their Hamburg Flyer. Movietone featured synchronized sound from day one, hence his name. In the early days, the sound was genuine, a cumbersome, separate sound camera being employed to record the effects onto optical film. It's claimed to be Britain's first streamlined diesel train. I'll keep quiet so that you can hear the genuine sounds of this 1930s diesel.
This is the new Armstrong Whitworth diesel-electric rail bus, the first of its type to be built. It brings to the inhabitants of the country towns and villages the advantages of an electrified railway.
There's not a lot left to say about LMS number 10,000, but here it is at Euston, making its very first public appearance on December the 18th, 1947, when it and Euston for that matter, still belonged to the LMS. Another pioneer was the Southern Region's double-decker. 2 4-car trains, designated 4DD, numbers 4001 and 4002, entered service on the Charing Cross to Dartford lines in November 1949 to test the practicality of increasing train capacity without having to extend platform lengths.
The beaching plan for closing hundreds of miles of unprofitable railway lines has given inventors plenty of food for thought. One bright idea is the railmobile, an invention which allows the motorist to drive his car along the railway lines. The car's rear wheels transfer the power through rollers to the trolley. Incredible to think that a baby car can drive a trolley weighing 1.5 tons, but here we go.
New British Railways uniforms to herald new standards in passenger comfort. They call it the Train of Tomorrow. 8 specially built coaches, diesel-powered, and demonstrated for us during a run from London.
Beginning a series of slow-speed runs at Derby, British Rail's advanced passenger train is intended for speeds of more than 150 miles an hour. The team of research engineers who designed the train are there to check on the behavior of their latest creation. King's Cross and the new British Rail high-speed train at the start of a special trial run to Darlington and back. It's the prototype of a high-speed express service scheduled for intercity routes in about 2 years' time. A promise of even faster and more comfortable commuting for Britain's business jet set. VIPs on today's run.